Hey, just a sec. There was a question about who you guys are. This is Jared and Carly. They're the directors of the film. Hi, guys. Welcome. Welcome to UVU. I just want to, you won't be able to hear them clap. So I just want to, so how did you guys like the film?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's weird the short distance of the mic and Zoom. Right? No, they're clapping out loud. I don't know if you could hear it, but most people say they can. Yeah. Hey, thank you for letting me show this film. It's so fantastic. It's so beautiful. I'm going to ask two questions. One's really easy, and then we have a line of people who want to come and talk to you about it. First off, you're here in Utah somewhere, right? Aren't where are you at?
We're based down in Sanpete County, so about an hour south of
Right.
this
So
there.
you're filmmakers from Sam Pete. That's awesome. And what town are you in? You're in Richfield, or I mean, yeah, where are you?
We're Fountain Green.
Fountain Green. Okay, very good, very good.
East of
I've got people buried in Fountain Green, my own people. So great. I know the area. Cool. Well, my question is, first of all, if you talk a little bit about how you got your subject, your protagonist there, but more than just how you found him, how did you convince him to be involved in such a project that is so, I mean, obviously he had to really sign on to sort of this artistic approach. And I do think the film is a work of art. I think it's just beautiful. And so did it take convincing or what was your approach there?
I wonder if we can, like, to answer that, we'll kind of start with a motivation.
Sure.
Um, Jared can kind of speak to where he came into who and why. Um, but we had been noticing in our own community um, that there were some needs in our community. I also teach music and art in the public schools here at public elementary schools. And a fourth grade student had asked, as we were learning about um, a Mexican American artist in one of the art classes, and he rose his hand and he's like, "Why are you saying she's American? Because she's brown."
Hmm.
And so just that learning that disconnect that this young children in our own community had with people that look different than them was really striking and kind of spurred us um, to think of a way to tell Jorge's story in a way
Yeah.
that was interesting.
And Jorge is actually a family friend. My family and his family both immigrated to Fountain Green in the early 90s. My family came from South Africa. He moved from Mexico City. And he and my dad just sort of became friends. And so some of these stories were things that I'd heard over the years, and we'd sort of kicked them around and knew at some point we wanted to make a film with Jorge. And I think when Carly had that experience and came home and we talked about it, we thought, okay, now is probably the time to get serious about exploring those experiences that Jorge had shared with us. And I think to your point of getting, like earning Jorge's trust, I think it helped. One, we knew him for a long time. That helped certainly. But I think two, we had shown him some of our other work and kind of helped him see what a collaboration with us might look like. And we kind of presented it that way to him, that this would be something that we would kind of design together. It wouldn't be like wholly our vision that we're bringing to it. Something that we really wanted his input and his feedback on constantly throughout the process.
Perfect. I want to turn it over to this lot. And just if you guys start to get tired, just kind of wave a white flag and let us know. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Please tell them your name and what you're doing in the program.
Hello, I'm Mason, Mason only, and I'm in the directing track.
Hi.
Cool.
My question for you was about your set and production design, because I loved a lot of the sort of metaphorical things, but I specifically wanted to know where you got your inspiration to hang everything, because everything was sort of hung in this way, and I kind of want to know where that came from.
Hmm. That's a great question. I think the fabric that we hung, that's, that sort of like represents like apparitions and but also memories and traumas. That came from an artist that their name's escaping me at the moment, but we saw some installations of this textile work. I want to say it was at the Tate Museum. I can't remember where exactly, but the image of these large fabric sheets kind of being billowed by fans sort I think stuck with us, and we knew we wanted to use that somehow. And this was an opportunity that we felt would work thematically and narratively. But I like the objects from the car, like the different car components. I think that was us sort of leaning into the horror genre a little bit. We kind of wanted to, suggest that these things are sort of like hung in like either on like a hook or I don't know. I think we had images of like, I don't know, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or we just wanted it to feel a little bit horrific
Yeah.
and a little bit spooky.
And in my mind, I was thinking of like, is it Christie where she has the billowing dress, like just kind of that horror genre, like kind of that power of flowing, billowing fabric, because it's haunting, but it's also really powerful and emotionally stacked. And so we kind of figured out how we wanted to put those pieces, those textiles in Jorge's shop.
Excellent. Thank you. It really came across for me. So thank you.
Thanks, Mason.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brianna Ramirez. I'm in the directing track here at UVU. I kind of just wanted to ask, I don't know if you guys have ever talked to Jorge about this, but how has, I know he really likes building custom cars and stuff. So how has that turned his outlook on his life here in America and with his immigration status, or, him immigrating to here?
Just to clarify, the film itself or his work?
His work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question. I don't know if we've ever talked to him explicitly about that topic, but I do think that he's reflected on building the cars with us, and I think he sort of described the experience as and there's a line in the film that sort of alludes to this where he says, you want to show people that you can build something. And I think my understanding of at least one of the joys he gets from building these cars is that he can like truly build something from scrap, from nothing, and he can kind of prove to his community that he has this value in the sense that he can contribute when he basically from nothing. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, and as far as his immigration status, he actually became a citizen, I think, over a decade or two ago. He's been a citizen for a long time, and so you see his little activism, like his shirt that he wore it like 2 of the days that we were shooting. He really wanted it to be seen, even though that was something that we didn't talk about. But Jared and I look at each other and we're like, okay, he wants this shirt to be in the movie. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I truly thought it was very beautiful. I can definitely, like, it reminds me of my parents. They had to start from nothing again when they came here, and we're finally doing super good. So I thought it was beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that. That's lovely.
Hello, my name's Ashley. I'm a cinematography student here. But I wanted to ask you about the aspect ratio, because thought it was so striking how it switched from the square ratio to just your normal wide ratio. And I just want to know how, or like what motivated that choice, or like how did it shape your storytelling?
It's a great question, and I'm happy to hear that that moment worked for you. We that was by design. We wanted to create a distinction from when you were inside the space of the shop and sort of in the space of in his mind or his memories, and then have a clean break or like a thematic break when you're in the car with him. So whenever you're in the car, you get to that wide aspect ratio. And I think also just the spending time with his car and like looking at the shape of the frame that the windows make. It's like basically scope, just naturally is how he built it. Um, and it also came from like kind of a practical place where we could only afford one lens, so we rented an anamorphic lens. And so for the square moments, we've turned the sensor on its side and we're stretching the sensor vertically. We're stretching its height differently. And then when we go back out, when we're in the scope, we orient the camera normally and then stretch it out the way you would typically do it. I think that just gave us like more tools and things to play with. But really, it was just about trying to like have a moment of like a big release,
Yeah.
We felt
Emotional freedom.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like that. Like when it went out for the first time, I was like, it kind of did feel like a breath of fresh air. It was very, very well done. So thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm in the directing track. And to add on to what she was saying, I felt like there was just such an intentionality and craftedness to the whole movie. And I mean, you don't always see that in like documentary filmmaking. So I was really curious about the thought process behind that and why, for this movie, that was the choice on how it was shot.
I think Jared had the idea of somehow showing and sharing Jorge's stories. But it took a while and like a motivation to have all of that inspiration kind of click. And one day we were driving past Jorge's shop again and just noticing like, oh, wait, Jorge had mentioned that he felt like his shop was haunted, and that shop is right next to the cemetery in Moroni. And so it just took the right ingredients for those ideas to kind of merge, and for us to brainstorm how we could take Jorge stories and make it kind of a horror, resurrecting of memories, alluding to death and rebirth.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Daniel. I'm one of the audio students here at UVU, and I noticed you guys had a lot of like contrast between some higher notes and a lot of like the lower notes in there. I know you guys talked a lot about like the horror element. I was wondering if there was any other reasonings behind that decision, that process.
That's a great question. I mean, we got to give credit to our sound designer, sound designing team, and our composer. The direction we gave them was we sort of wanted the score to feel as though it emerges out of just like the ambient diegetic sound of the place, and wanted it to feel as though you couldn't really tell when that started and stopped. And our those collaborators were amazing in the sense that they really like looked at the source material, and I think they found ways to craft an experience that's sort of like based on what was there in the shop, like just the ambience of like motors and not the car motor, obviously we get that, but like fans and like generators in the distance, and sort of like just the shop sounds that you get when you're like alone in a auto body shop. If you've ever had that experience, or maybe you're like alone in some sort of industrial space, you just hear these hums. And so I think that was like the foundation. of everything that they built. And then I think they found just really interesting ways to contrast that. One interesting thing that you might be interested in is our composer is he's like he did his doctorate in trumpet performance, and he was really interested in the project because he felt that the trumpet would be this incredible way to like explore working with a car, because it's like a valve instrument with pistons. And I guess he just found this like really, to me, really fascinating parallel between that instrument and a combustion engine, which was cool. I mean, I don't know if like would necessarily come across, but it like certainly, I think, added some complexity and depth to his work.
If you're interested in exploring more about that, we made some promotional material that's posted on Instagram at Rat Rod Film. And so there's some interviews from our sound designing team and the composer.
I'll definitely give those a look. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Hey, my name's Tony. I'm looking at the editing track. So I'm gonna try to morph my question because I feel like it was kind of answered a little bit, but I'm curious with finding that motivation, the pacing for the edit. There was like an even pulse I felt throughout the film. And you guys have talked a little bit about like a horror genre being kind of an inspiration. I'm just curious, like, was all this kind of formed in pre-production, like that conceptualizing of the idea, or did it come later when you kind of had those inspirational moments to say, all right, the director sitting down with the editor and it's like, I think we want to maybe go a different way with this, or did you know from the beginning how you wanted it?
Wow. Yeah, so we edit our films together, typically, at least our short films. And it's hard to say when some of those things emerge. I think we probably imagined the film's pace would be a little different than how it like I think we found that cadence after we finished shooting. It's my
Yeah, in the edit.
yeah.
But the concepts we had to experiment with. We experimented a little bit at home with like the billowing sheets, and that was an idea that we weren't sure about when we started filming, but we're like, let's just try it anyway. And we set aside time in our production schedule for it, and we knew that it would either like crash and burn as just a weird thing, or that it would be like the elevated metaphor that we were looking for. So I would say for us, we do a lot of thinking. Jared probably told me 2 or 3 years ago that he wanted to do a film about Jorge. And then what was it, a year ago or just 9 months ago that we started production?
Gosh, it would have been 24.
Oh, okay.
24.
A year ago that we started production, and we finished the film in about 6 months. And a lot of the film is in the edit as well. We do a lot of different iterations.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of thought that goes into it before
And I
production.
think in terms of finding like a pace that worked, a lot of it was sort of dictated by the way we had shot a lot of the motion in the film. Like I'm thinking of the long shot that kind of moves into the back of the car.
Yeah, that's the one I was noticing it the most, was that pacing. I was like, why is it so long? But then you bring him into that space and I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it has to pay off.
Yeah. And I think we're looking for ways that like a shot could become another shot within the same movement, or within a singular movement. And I don't know, if you have enough of those shots, it's like hard to fight. You end up fighting them if you try and change the pace, and that doesn't you learn pretty quickly that it's just not going to work. So,
well, it felt very cohesive. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Troy Tsuler, and I'm a cinematography major. I really admired the composition of this. I thought you guys did really good with the lighting, and I was just kind of curious on your intent behind that, or even like what inspired that kind of composition, because you were very careful at points. It was very, a bit of contrast with the light and the dark, a lot of shadows for the most part. But obviously there was like some inspired light through like the garage door and stuff like that. But yeah, what inspired the lighting aspect of it?
I think a lot of it is like for sure some of our references were John Carpenter's horror work. Like Christine was a big one. We knew we were going to be working with a car, being in a garage, and so we looked at that film quite a bit. I think we are always sort of thinking about Lynch,
Mm.
some of his work, and I think, yeah, I think that shop was just sort of a fun place where we could just sort of mess around, and we could make the lighting didn't always have to be motivated. It could be kind of dramatic at times,
But I
yeah.
think choosing the hue of the lights, though they were often blue or purple, and we kind of saw that as like the undertone of the car, which was kind of our the inanimate object that we were trying to bring out. And so choosing that hue was and staying consistent throughout the film was really important.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. Yeah, the color palette was really pretty in this as well. Yeah, no, interesting. And yeah, it's also interesting that you related it to Lynch as well. I can definitely see that in like the softer lighting aspect of it. So yeah, no, awesome. Well done, you guys.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think we probably have time for one more, if there is anyone else. I'm not sure if there's anyone, but
There are.
okay.
All right, my name is Luke. I'll be going into cinematography, and sort of similar to the last one. I noticed a lot of scenes have a more gritty or dark aesthetic with splashes of bold color. I was wondering what the specific influences behind that were.
Thank you I mean, these questions are so flattering. I mean, yeah, that's a great one. Thank you.
Because we do think about all these details
Yeah.
as we're filming.
I think it was Jorge sort of turned the space over to us, and he wasn't there for a lot of like if he wasn't in the frame, he pretty much wasn't there while we were shooting. So we had a lot of time to just be alone in that space. And I think that we just had a lot of fun, like just trying to design where you're going to look, and composing to draw attention places. And, color was one of the elements that we really wanted to use. We knew that the car was going to be that like rich, red, rusty tone. But we tried to like interject a lot of yellow, like that's the
And
color he
reds.
paints with. And yeah, we just tried to have these splashes of brightness to kind of contrast the grim nature of that space.
And like Jared was saying about kind of designing the frame, we could use those flashes of color to create balance with whatever we were looking at. If it felt empty over here, well, easy to bring a bold color in there to just really make it pleasing to the eye.
I think also to that, this might, I don't know, maybe it'll be helpful to know, but for a film of this size for us, we've made a few now at of this sort of scale, and we have a very, very small crew. Like it's pretty much Carly, myself, and a gaffer for most of the production. And I think that really core tight team allows us to just like really dial things in at like a kind of a slow pace, and we just take our time with it. We don't shoot a lot of coverage. I don't like that word.
Yeah, we tried not to we tried to be very thoughtful of our time because we are busy with other projects and our family.
Mhm.
So we didn't want to shoot too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, can't thank you enough, guys. This was lovely. Thank you. It's a beautiful film. I'm so glad I got to share it with these people. I'm gonna ask two favors of you. First of all, can you be sure to email me a poster, whatever you're doing? I like to use that in my thumbnails. for the YouTube channel. And then if I could get you guys to look at your camera and give me a smile, that would be great. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I found that if I don't do that, then I only have this little very low resolution Zoom image and it doesn't look very good. Thank you guys. You're fantastic. I appreciate the time. And again, you won't be able to hear them, but everyone, big round of applause for them.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
you.
for doing
Yeah.
this. It was a
Such a-
pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure to chat.
And thanks for making movies out of San Pete. I love it. All right, we'll see ya.
Take care, guys.